This offseason, 8 new NFL head coaches were hired. And what I did at the time is I ranked them. And I don't want to do that anymore. A lot has happened since then. I was going to re-rank them, but I decided I don't want to do that because, the NFL draft happened, free agency happened, and I changed as a broadcaster. I have no desire to rank them anymore. I just don't care. I think all of them are good hires, and that's the point. Like, what you want to hear is, because I would truly believe this, I think every coach that was hired made sense to me, and I think they all have a chance to win games. The question you care about and the question I care about is, will this head coach make a difference with wins and losses? That's what I care about. And again, I think that's what you care about. So what I did is I used a website because I'm dumb. I didn't trust my judgment. I didn't want to put them in alphabetical order myself and screw up. I looked up a website, and they put the 8 teams in alphabetical order. And so that's the order in which we are going to talk about the new head coaches in the NFL. But I want to go through all of them and decide and let you know whether I think the head coaching hires are going to make an impact on wins and losses. So let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals hired a new head coach, Zac Taylor. What I love about Zac Taylor, he spells his name Z-A-C. It's exactly how I spell my name. Right off the bat, got brownie points. I like the hire, right? He's the former Rams quarterback coach. He's a young guy. He's 36. He's very creative. He's been around the Rams head coach, Sean McVay, a lot. So again, we assume he's going to be creative like Sean McVay. So on paper, it makes sense. You say he's got a good offensive mind. And the belief is that he can help the Bengals' older quarterback, Andy Dalton, and kind of revitalize his career. Going to get new schemes, a new offense, some creativity, use the wide receivers the Bengals have. They have some good weapons. Use them better. Yeah, it makes sense to me. John Ross, I think, could be used a lot better than they did last year. And I also love the head coaching hire because the Bengals finally took a risk and made a necessary change and said, what we're doing isn't working. We're tired of mediocrity. This might be a bad decision, but let's try it and see if it works. I like that. However, I don't think that hiring Zac Taylor is going to dramatically change the fortune of the Cincinnati Bengals. I wish it did. It makes a lot of sense on paper. I think the offense is going to be fun to watch, and probably a little better than they've been in the past. Creative, fun, John Ross getting catches. It's going to be more competitive, sure, but I still don't think Andy Dalton is going to be what he needs to be, right? Like, I don't think Andy Dalton is an elite quarterback. He's okay. He's good. He'll be better with this scheme. That's not enough. And the other problem is, so they have Andy Dalton. Like, no matter who the coach is, one, Andy Dalton is still your quarterback. And two, is it this? The Bengals play in the AFC North against the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns. Can't believe I'm saying it. The Browns are good now. The Bengals, I think, are going to be last in their division, and they're more a victim of circumstance than they are a victim of bad coaching. I think Zac Taylor could be a great coach, but if he's a great coach and he has a mediocre quarterback and plays in a really tough division, they're not going to win more games. So I love the hire. I don't think Zac Taylor is going to impact the Bengals and bring them to a bunch more wins. The next one I want to talk about, because we're going in alphabetical order, is the Denver Broncos. The Broncos hired Vic Fangio to be their new head coach. And man, since the draft and since NFL free agency has happened, I have come to love this hire. I love because, one, I love what they're doing on offense. We'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, Vic Fangio is a great defensive coach, right? He's a really good defensive mind. He knows football schematically on defense. He was last year the Bears defensive coordinator. They were fantastic. And what the Broncos have is really good defensive personnel. Vic Fangio has a bunch of weapons with the Broncos defense. The most clear to me are Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. He's going to use them, and they're going to get a lot of pressure, and I think do a lot of good things. I love that. I think Vic Fangio running the people in Denver on defense, that's a match made to succeed. I like that. But what changed in free agency was the quarterback situation for the Broncos. Rich Scangarello is the Denver Broncos offensive coordinator. He's been around Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers head coach. He was Jimmy Garoppolo's offensive quarterback coach. I like Rich Scangarello. I like who he is. I like his background. It gives me some good feeling. It's a gut sense. I'm like, I like his background. I think that makes sense to me. But they also have a veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco. They traded for Joe Flacco, and they drafted at quarterback, Drew Lock from Missouri in the second round. I love everything that the Broncos are doing on offense. Their defense is great. Their defense was going to be great. But last year, the problem wasn't the defense in Denver. The problem was Case Keenum was their quarterback and their offense sucked. Defense is going to be great. And I think what Vic Fangio does to the defense is allows them to have an opportunity to stop teams like the Chargers and the Chiefs in their division. Right? Vic Fangio gives them their best chance to win the division. But it's also only going to happen because they have Joe Flacco at quarterback. Having Joe Flacco at quarterback brings stability. I think he's a lot better than Case Keenum. I like that. I think Rich Gangarello, he's a good offensive mind. I like that. And then the best part of this is, and actually I met with someone, a good friend of mine played defensive end at Missouri. We had lunch the other day. And he spoke really highly of Drew Lock. He's like, dude, Drew Lock is going to be a stud. He really believes in him. And this is usually a guy on defense doesn't necessarily always believe in the quarterback. My friend believes in Drew Lock. He played with him. Look him up, Marcel Frazier. And I think it's possible that Drew Lock years from now is going to be looked at as a steal. They got him in the second round. And the best part about it is Joe Flacco can play right now. And it gives Drew Lock time to sit and learn and prepare and get better. I love everything about what the Broncos are doing. I think their defensive head coach, Vic Fangio, is great. Again, they have a good defense that can stop teams in their league, in their division. And their offense has got good people running it. Rich Gangarello is a good offensive coordinator. They have Joe Flacco, which buys their young rookie quarterback time. Drew Lock has time to develop and get better. Everything about it. I love what the Broncos are doing. I think they're headed in the right direction. And Vic Fangio gives them the best chance to win games of any coach they could have hired. Now, the third team I want to talk about is the Browns. The Browns hired Freddie Kitchens. And you can go a lot of ways with this. Honestly, there's a lot of wild cards here. On one end, you could say, well, this is a rookie head coach, a guy who's never been a head coach before, coaching a locker room full of personality. Could be a mess. He's never been a head coach before. But also, it's not like Freddie Kitchens has never been in a locker room before. He's been around football most of his life. He also has been around Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is one of my favorite head coaches of all time. I'm sure he learned a lot from Bruce Arians, and I'm sure they still talk, and I'm sure, my point is this, I don't think Freddie Kitchens is an idiot. Just because he's never been a head coach before doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't know how to handle a locker room. He also worked with Baker Mayfield last year as the Browns' offensive coordinator, which means that he has rapport with Baker Mayfield. They like each other. They get along. And that's why I think this could work. Baker is the heart and soul of the Cleveland Browns locker room. Everybody follows him. And if everybody follows him, if Odell Beckham Jr., if Jarvis Landry, if everybody on that team submits to Baker as their leader and follows him, it's going to work. And I do think that's what's going to happen because I think people want to cheer for Baker. People want Baker to succeed. Odell Beckham Jr. got away from Eli Manning. He wants Baker to be the man. I think he's going to submit to Baker. And if everybody follows Baker, and you have a head coach, Freddie Kitchens, who can call Baker into his office, hey, Baker, can we talk real quick? And then if there's drama, they can figure it out together how to deal with it. I think they have a really talented roster. They could win their division. And I think actually the relationship between Baker and Freddie Kitchens could be why this works. Everyone looks to Freddie Kitchens as the problem with the Browns, a rookie head coach. He's been around football before, but most importantly, he's got a good relationship with their leader, the heart and soul of their team, Baker Mayfield. And if you have Baker on your side, that's what matters. I think Baker likes Freddie. Baker defends Freddie. Their relationship matters, and I think that's why this could work. So I think I'm much higher on the Freddie Kitchens hire than most people, and I think the Browns have a chance to win their division. Talent, heart, soul, Baker, good schemes. It's all, I love all of it. Next, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was the best hire this offseason in the entire NFL. If every coach was an A, hiring Bruce Arians, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got an A+. What I love about Bruce Arians, one, he's no BS. He's my kind of guy. He swears on the radio all the time. He always gets in trouble. He's a guy who's won in the NFL before. He's got good morals. He always talks about how we're going to work smarter, not harder. He doesn't sleep in his office. He's one of those guys who believes in family. I love everything about his values. but he saved the end of Carson Palmer's career in Arizona with the Cardinals. Carson Palmer flummoxed and struggled with the Raiders. He went to Arizona. He got paired up with Bruce Arians, and they were ridiculously good. In 2014, oh man, if you're a Cardinals fan, you know what I'm talking about. That team was unreal. And if Carson hadn't been injured, man, they could have won a Super Bowl. There were years where they had so many chances, and Carson just couldn't stay healthy at the end of his career. And eventually Bruce Arians retired when Carson Palmer walked away from football. But I love Bruce Arians. Again, he's a no BS kind of guy. He doesn't tolerate your drama and your stupidity. He's like, let's nip this in the bud and deal with it. He cut Gerald McCoy. They had a great, fantastic defensive tackle. Bruce Arians said, well, now we're paying him too much. Get him out of here. Cut him. That's awesome. I mean, not great for Gerald McCoy, but hey, that's a guy who is taking charge of his franchise. And the Buccaneers quarterback, Jameis Winston, needs that. Jameis Winston has been an embarrassing mess since he got to the NFL. I am not impressed at all with the way he's conducted himself off the field. He's been average and mediocre on the field. Again, he's really talented. The talent level's there. But the problem with Jameis Winston has been immaturity. And Bruce Arians is not going to put up with that. And I think Bruce Arians is exactly the coach that could whip this guy into shape. He's also a good offensive mind. He understands coaches. He understands quarterbacks, He worked with Andrew Luck. He worked with a lot of young quarterbacks. I just really like the way. I think he worked with both Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck when they were rookie quarterbacks. That's awesome. So I think the Buccaneers may surprise people. They have a talented quarterback who just needs guidance. They have a coach who can bring them guidance. And I think they actually, believe it or not, have a chance to win their division. Good roster, good offense. Are the Atlanta Falcons and the Panthers really that good? Yeah, the Saints are incredible. But everybody else, they have a chance to beat them. So again, I just go back to, I think Bruce Arians was an incredible hire, and he's going to have a huge impact on the Buccaneers moving forward in their season. The Cardinals hired Kliff Kingsbury, the former head coach of Texas Tech. And I think this coach is better suited to be an NFL head coach than a college head coach. He was never great at recruiting, never good at the dumb administrative stuff that comes along with, fundraising and all. There's all this BS on the side you have to deal with if you're a head coach in college. Now, Kliff Kingsbury can just focus on the game. And more specifically, Kliff Kingsbury can focus on offense. There's a huge part of this hire that no one's really talking about. Not only did the Cardinals hire Kliff Kingsbury on one side on offense, they hired Vance Joseph to be their defensive coordinator. Vance Joseph last year was the Broncos head coach, and he's a good head coach. The problem was never the defense in Denver. The problem was they couldn't win games because their quarterback, Case Keenum, sucked. He was awful. Awful is strong. He was never good enough, though. Well, I love the pairing in Arizona because Kliff Kingsbury can run the offense. He's a great creative offensive coach. They drafted a quarterback, Kyler Murray, number 1 overall. I think he's an incredible talent. Offense taken care of. And Kliff can do the offense and leave the defense to Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph can take care of the defense. It's a great marriage. Not to mention, Vance Joseph, having been a head coach before and been around the league for years, I think he has valuable wisdom he can bring to the table to help Kliff Kingsbury if Kliff Kingsbury is willing to listen. So all this being said, I don't know that next year the Cardinals are going to have a fantastic, maybe, but I don't see a Super Bowl or a playoff win or anything like that from the Cardinals. But what I see is a chance for them to begin their rebuild. Their rebuild is starting. And I think it could work long term. I think eventually they're going to win a lot of games because, again, their delegation's great. I love their system. And I really like their quarterback and their head coach. All in all, I really like the hire the Cardinals did. And don't just focus on the head coach. Who they hired as defensive coordinator really matters. And I think they could work together and work really well together. The Dolphins hired Brian Flores to be their new head coach. And this is the one I'm the most, at least, especially when it happened, I was the most lukewarm on. I was like, who is this guy? I don't know. I don't care. He's a defensive-minded head coach. Last year, he was the Patriots' defensive play caller. And he was really a big part of how the Patriots shut down the Rams offense in the Super Bowl. Their game plan was fantastic. He runs a very disciplined, very good scheme on defense, but the discipline was what really mattered to me last year with the Patriots. If he can duplicate that in Miami, if their defense can be that disciplined and have the same success as the Patriots last year, I'd be impressed. That'd be awesome. Another interesting and important piece of the puzzle is Chad O'Shea, the Dolphins offensive coordinator. He's a longtime Patriots guy. He was Tom Brady's quarterback coach. Here's why all of this could work. I think Brian Flores is a good defensive coach. I really like his mind. But what we know last year from the Denver Broncos, having a good defense is not enough. It's not really. So what? If you have a great defense and your quarterback sucks, you're not going to win. Again, ask the Denver Broncos last year. It was so apparent Case Keenum was the problem. But now the Dolphins have veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. And not only do they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, they also have a young second-year quarterback, a former first-round pick, Josh Rosen. I love it. I think that not only can Ryan Fitzpatrick help them win now, he knows the NFL. He's never really he finally gets a shot. I think he had a chance to start last year a while ago with the Jets. I don't know. My point is this. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is perfectly suited for what he needs to do with the Dolphins. Play for a year or two and buy time for Josh Rosen to prepare and get better and eventually become the next starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. He's waiting in the wings, but having Ryan Fitzpatrick there, a guy who's capable, who can win, who's better than most, he's probably at least, if nothing else, the best backup in the NFL, but he's a capable starter, and I think I'd have him over a couple quarterbacks in. If I don't care, but I like Ryan Fitzpatrick a lot as a quarterback. He can win games. But having Josh Rosen waiting in the wings and not having the pressure of him playing right away is so good for him. He can prepare, he can get better, he can take his time. I like it. I actually think that it's likely that, at least early on, the Dolphins are more successful than the Bills and the Jets because their quarterback is older. They have a better defensive coach. I think that it's possible the Dolphins are second in the AFC East next year. And now, long-term years from now, I don't know how things work out. But I think immediately the Dolphins could have a little bit of success because of their quarterback. And if they can work things out and have a good defense under Brian Flores, I like the direction they're headed. But most importantly is, again, they brought in Josh Rosen, the quarterback of the future. And they're doing it right. They're allowing him to sit. They're allowing him to wait. And it buys him time to prepare and do it the right way and eventually become the quarterback instead of having the pressure now. Like last year in Arizona, they put him out there too early. He wasn't ready, and I think it hurt him. So again, I think, does it impact wins and losses with the Dolphins? I think it could initially because of the quarterback, the defense, all of it. I like the direction the Dolphins are headed. Two coaching hires left. The Jets hired Adam Gase to be their head coach, and I love this hire. I don't care if it's just me. I think I'm the only one who loves it. I know that. I think it's a very good hire. The Jets have a young quarterback, Sam Darnold, and Adam Gase is good with quarterbacks. Enough said. If I'm a young coach, I want exactly a guy like Adam Gase. I think their personalities work well. Adam Gase is a weird, quirky guy. It works, but he is quirky. Now, I've been around Sam Darnold. I was around him growing up. We went to Elite 11 quarterback camps together. He's very, very coachable. He's a guy who listens, he does his job. He doesn't talk back. He doesn't have a huge ego. That, I think, is going to work well. His temperament works well with Adam Gase. And Adam Gase, again, for all his quirks, weird guy, it works. The dude won a game last year against the Bears' incredible defense with Brock Osweiler at quarterback. Adam Gase is a competent, good head coach. He's weird. He's quirky. The eyeball thing was weird to me. I don't know what to make of that. But it does. Whatever he does works. He's consistently beat the Patriots throughout the course of his career. The reason why he did not work with the Dolphins, Adam Gase was the Dolphins quarterback previously. The reason why it didn't work with the Dolphins was that he never had the right quarterback. Ryan Tannehill, really the point is that Adam Gase got paired with the wrong quarterback. Ryan Tannehill, his quarterback, was injured all the time. And if you're paired with the wrong guy, you're screwed. You're just screwed. I think Ryan Tannehill was not the guy. It didn't work. He was always hurt. Doesn't matter how good a coach you have. If your quarterback's not healthy and not available to play, you're not going to win games. And how do you get better if you're not playing? I think that was the problem that Ryan Tannehill ran into. But now Adam Gase is paired with a quarterback I like and believe in, Sam Darnold. Been around Sam, played catch with him. He's a good dude. Works hard. I haven't seen him since high school, but I just respect him a ton. And I think they're going to work well together. And eventually, I think the Jets, especially when Tom Brady moves away from their division, when Tom Brady retires, man, the Jets have an opportunity to win significantly. I like it. I like the direction the Jets are headed. I think Adam Gase was the right hire for Sam Darnold and the right hire for the New York Jets. Despite his weirdness, despite his quirkiness, it works. Finally, the Packers hired Matt LaFleur to be their new head coach. And the Packers are such an interesting team. Matt LaFleur is a great offensive mind. He's got a lot of good schemes. Creative. He's really creative. His receivers, I think, are going to be open. And in free agency, the Packers improved their defense tremendously. The two big problems in the recent years with the Packers have been their defense sucks and their offense is boring and stagnant that relies too much on Aaron Rodgers. Well, now they have a creative offensive mind, a creative head coach who's going to do more than just rely on Aaron Rodgers to win the game with his arm. They have a good defense. I really like what they're doing on defense. So problem solved and problem solved. The only question now, the number one wild card to me is Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers coachable enough to work with Matt LaFleur? Aaron Rodgers is 35 years old, and Matt LaFleur is 39. Will Aaron Rodgers listen to and respect his head coach? Are they too close in age? And will Aaron Rodgers, frankly, will he respect anybody? I don't know. So I think there's a lot of ways this could work out. Again, it could be great. They could have a great defense. Maybe they sack Kirk Cousins a bunch. Mitchell Trubisky's running for his life, and their offense shreds the Bears. It's possible, right? They have a good scheme, a good defense, and a great quarterback. The ingredients are there, but do those ingredients mix? That's the question. It's $1 million question. So I think either the Packers are a home run, they shred the NFC North, and they dominate, or a terrible implosion is coming. It's one or the other. It's either great. I like the hire. I think the hire is exactly what you had to do. You had to get a creative offensive coach. If the Packers fail, it will not be because of their coach. And maybe it will be, but I think the problem is it will be Aaron Rodgers' unwillingness to listen to his coach and unwillingness to be coachable. If the Packers don't succeed, the reason will be Aaron Rodgers' attitude. I doubt it will be because their coach is inept. I think Matt LaFleur is a great offensive coach. Their defense is great. It's all there. The question is, do the ingredients mix? So that is how I feel about all 8 new NFL head coaching hires. I think they all made sense. I like them. The question was, are they going to affect wins? And I think some of them will, some of them won't. I already talked about that. But again, I think Bruce Arians was by far the best NFL head coaching hire this NFL offseason. I just want to say thank you so very much for tuning in. My name is Zac Taylor. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And my dream is to someday build Strong Opinion Sports into a company that I can run as my full-time job. And if you believe in me, if you believe in that dream, please do me a huge favor. Help me grow by telling your friends about the show. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Another way you can help if you want to, no pressure. I have a PayPal, paypal.me/Zac Taylor. I also have a Patreon account, patreon.com/Zac Taylor. It'd be a huge help. That's my only source of income. If you have no money, no problem, though. I don't care. I'm a broke college kid myself. I know what it's like. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, man, I don't expect anything. It'd be a huge help if you could tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. That's the number one way you can help this show, is help me grow by telling your friends about this podcast.